Hey everyone, thank you so much for being here with us. I really appreciate all of you who've shown up on like super short notice. It's been a really rough week for me, as you can probably tell from my like. I really appreciate all of you who've shown up on voice. Sorry for any feedback issues that we're having right now. I'm just going to check that the stream is in fact actually working. Okay, cool, it is. Good. Hey Eric, hey Harold, hey Graylin, hey Shelley, hey Elizabeth is in chat as well. Hey Fly, thank you guys all for being here.
Yep, I'm here.
So,
yeah, by the way, I want to
introduction. I haven't got there yet. Give me a second.
Okay, yeah.
Let's just do this professionally, even though I consider this to be a really informal project. Hi, my name's Suzie Dawson. I am a journalist, I'm an activist, and I'm the current leader of the Internet Party of New Zealand. I am here with the beautiful, gorgeous, talented, ferocious, and loyal Elizabeth Lee Voss, who is the editor-in-chief of Disobedient Media.
Hey guys, and you may notice that I am not visually with you all, and that is because I had a wonderful blood nose experience today that I did not want to have to subject you all to on camera if it reemerges or reoccurs. So, but I'll be with you guys next time on camera. So we'll see what we can do this evening.
Although it sucks that Elizabeth isn't on cam tonight, I actually feel like it's some kind of karma, because in the past when I haven't been able to be on cam, she's like really graciously fronted the camera for me. So tonight I get to front the camera for her. So that's pretty cool. So since I think like most of us here all know each other, we're a pretty tight group. For the last week, I've had, again, because it's change of season, I've had a house full of sick people, including myself. I actually thought yesterday I was going to lose my voice entirely. And I've been really sick and really miserable. But at the same time, I've been trying desperately to work on some really big projects. So today I was really at my wit's end. I was like having my like periodic breakdown. Can I do this? Can I cope with this? Like, you know, I think a lot of people think I'm pretty omnipotent, but I'm actually not. I'm just a human being, and I have all kinds of pressures and obligations and responsibilities, just like everybody does. And today I was really like, I guess I was having burnout, like hardcore burnout. And then tonight I was thinking, my God, my voice is so croaky. I'm so ill. I can't do this. And then I just thought, you know what? I can. So what if my voice is croaky? So what if I look like crap? This group of people is really important to me. This project is really important to me. I'm really committed to it. I really am determined to get through every single one of these documents, no matter how long it takes. And I really wanted to be with you guys and not to let you down. And so I decided to go ahead and do the stream anyway. No promises for Friday this week because there's something that might be happening. I can't confirm yet. Basically, any night that I can, I will do the Decipher streams. So it was important to me to pull my finger out and do it tonight. Yes, thank you guys in chat. I have been having copious amounts of vitamin C because Russia has this amazing like 1,000 milligram vitamin C medicine drink that I've been drinking like a lot of recently. And I've been taking other vitamins and drinking tons of water. Hey, Protect What's True. Hey, RSFO. It's cool to see you guys back. And so I'm doing the best I can. That's what it comes down to. But I'm here, and I think it's important to study some documents and keep moving this forward. Do you guys have anything you want to ask before we get started and start reading docs? Hey, Cacti Juice.
Yeah, like Suzie said, it's great to see you guys here. It really is. You're awesome. Awesome group of people.
You guys are amazing. Truly, truly, truly amazing. The last stream meant a lot to me last week as well. It was really fantastic. Really, really awesome.
All right. Does anybody know which doc we're up to?
That's a great question. I was actually wondering that myself.
Yeah.
I've read in economics as well. Hey, how are you? Dr. Cat asks, what do we think about the references to Snowden and the Q drops? I think I've talked about that before. I can't remember, was it on maybe the Vigil stream or one of the...
it was in the Vigil, maybe.
That we did. I think actually Fly has a short video somewhere about me referring to Q on Snowden. Basically, yeah, I think we'll leave that one because we've already done a short video about it. So Fly or someone, if you can track down their like Q video and link it to Dr. Cat, that would be really cool. I'm going to try and save my voice so I don't want to double up on anything we've already covered. Also, I should warn you that I'm periodically going to like cut my video, like I'm about to in 1 minute, just so that I can have a big cough because I'm so full of phlegm and nasal drip.
Okay, while you do that, I can just say a brief word about Q while somebody finds the document number we're up to. So you go right ahead. So guys, I think Suzie and I are of the same mind on this particular issue, and that is that we both don't really give any credence to what Q has to say. It seems like a kind of a psyop or you know, somebody playing a joke on boomers who have just discovered Chan. But either way, it seems to very much be not credible and something that, in my mind, is an attempt to keep people complacent and painting Trump as somebody who's going to come in and change everything. And therefore, we don't need to actually take, you know, our own initiative and change things that we see that need to be changed and need to be addressed. And so I think that it's a really, really, it's a problem. And I think that, but the biggest problem to me about it is not that they're only spouting some untrue information and some really, really false narratives, like, you know, CIA type narratives, but it's primarily, to me, a problem where you have this complacency being encouraged. Like, oh no, Trump's a superhero and he's just gonna make everything better. Just wait, guys, the storm is coming. And I really, really dislike that. I feel like we all have to realize that we each have to do something if we want to see this, you know, establishment corruption dealt with at all. Yeah. So yeah, Graylin says, lol, Trump changing the deep state. Don't see that happening. Yeah. So, yeah. Shelley, yeah, that's my voice.
And I feel like we're about to go over old ground again, but we may as well since we're now having the discussion. So the first thing is that, yeah, great question about how is Q still being talked about. Q followed a classic psyops pattern, which is that he has dropped information that has like come to pass, which is step one is establishing their credibility. So they do that to establish credibility with an audience and to build an audience. And then step two is that then they start to seed into that what they want you to do and what they want you to think. And in that case, I call it a pincer movement. A pincer movement is where they come at you from both sides of the spectrum. So if you go back and watch all of these Decipher episodes, what you'll discover is that there is absolutely no way in hell that Snowden is not legit, because the content of the documents it completely exposes the intelligence agency's involvement in every single facet of human society, from academia to technology, to the strategic direction of technology, to the manipulation of history, to geopolitics and diplomacy, to everything that you can imagine. And the content of Snowden did a fantastic job at the Barlow Symposium. I completely agree with you. I did watch that. I watched the entire 4 hours and it was pretty amazing. But the content of the Snowden documents is the proof that Snowden is legit. And I don't mean the content of the documents that have been published by Washington Post, New York Times, The Guardian, or The Intercept. Well, actually, it's not fair to include The Intercept in that, considering these batch releases we study are, in fact, released by The Intercept. But when you study the batch releases that we do on Decipher, which is thousands and thousands of documents that have been released, not just the few that have been reported on by MSM, you discover things that are so incredibly consequential inside them that there is no conceivable way that the intelligence agencies would ever want you to know that information, let alone ever want somebody to leak that information.
And that's exactly why they have such an interest in, through stuff like Q, in making Snowden out to be a CIA agent for the public. That's why that's why you see things like Q pushing that so hard. I mean, yeah. So go ahead, Suzie. Sorry.
No, that's cool. So the pincer movement is that the Q comes from the right to tell you to hate Snowden. And on the left, they're being taught to hate Assange. And Julian Assange and Edward Snowden are the two biggest targets of the intelligence agencies in the world. So this is what I mean by pincer movement. They pressure the right to hate on Snowden, they pressure the left to hate on Assange, but both is serving the same agenda. If you come to believe that Snowden is a bad guy, or if you come to believe that Assange is a bad guy, you are pleasing exactly the same people. You're pleasing the intelligence agencies who target and persecute both of them. So that's what I think. So I think that the information that Q initially shares, I mean, that's just so that he can validate himself and build the following. So yes, Q does share stuff that is legit, but Q specifically targeting Snowden is in service to the intelligence agencies. It's what the intelligence agencies want. And then I think there is a tweet somewhere, if I go and find it, where somebody really clever tracked down this tasty morsel. Here it is, and I will screen share for you guys so you can see it. And this is a tweet by me.
Yeah,
and just
I remember that.
So, hey, QAnon people, every time Q rags on Snowden or tells you to investigate people in his life, you might like to remember that the NSA team tasked with hunting down Snowden was called the Q Group. And if you click on this link, it takes you to an article from the week that Snowden came out. I believe it is, or it's back in 2013, this article. This stupid thing will scroll down. Inside the Q Group, the director at hunting down Edward Snowden. Yeah, it is 10th of June. This is the week Snowden came out. The top secret Q Group has been chasing Edward Snowden since he disappeared in May. Eli Lake on the intel community's internal police and why the agency is in complete freakout mode. So the NSA tasked the Q Group with hunting down Edward Snowden in 2013. So to me, it seems rather unlikely that is a coincidence that this person who is telling the entire right to not to trust Snowden and to disbelieve Snowden and to investigate Snowden and his family and to put pressure on them and blah, 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 happens to be named Q, which is the very same NSA group that was tasked with hunting down Snowden. So that's pretty much when Q's goose was cooked as far as I was concerned.
Yeah. And another thing that, and I think Suzie summed that up extremely well, like identifying that left-right pincer movement from that you did. And also when I hear Q supporters saying stuff like, well, Q tells us that he has to put some disinformation in there and we have to figure it out for ourselves. That is such a huge red flag, guys. Don't ever listen to somebody who lets you know themselves that they're lying to you. I mean, come on. Anyway, that's the end of my rant on that. But there are so many different things that are just absolutely wrong with that. And I'm very sad to see people kind of falling into that narrative and wasting time on the stuff that he kind of leads people into as far as just these rabbit holes and chasing tail type situations. But
right. This pincer movement is something I saw a lot in New Zealand in the media, where they would write a hit piece about someone that they didn't like an active. A classic example, actually, is the former leader of the Internet Party of New Zealand, my predecessor, who's an incredibly amazing woman named Lila Hare. And when they wrote hit pieces on her, they would seed the same narrative in the same hit piece through a left-wing publication and through a right-wing publication simultaneously, so that they could push that narrative on both ends. So when they're pushing anti-Assange on one end and anti-Snowden on the other end, it's a double win for the agencies, basically.
Exactly.
Oh, sorry. If I'm too quiet, I'll actually plug in a headset. Sorry, I'm really croaky as well. Like my voice is just terrible at the moment. Sorry, Slider.
Every single time, we've made a major discovery in these documents, that completely changes the way that we view society, politics, government, and the intelligence agencies, and even the commercial sphere. It is evidence that Snowden is legit, because these findings there's just absolutely no way that the findings that we've made in Decipher You are of any benefit to the intelligence agencies. And also, time and time again, the findings we've made directly contradict the official narratives of the agencies. So, for example, one of the biggest things, I feel like I'm always saying this, but it's so significant. One of the biggest things that you always hear about Snowden from his detractors is, well, he was CIA and he went to the NSA, so he must have been infiltrating the NSA for the CIA, because why else? It's so unusual to go from the CIA to the NSA, and the CIA and NSA have a fierce rivalry, and therefore Snowden is a CIA limited hangout operation, blah, blah, blah. But what we discovered in the HR docs in here and in other documents is, and the other thing that says, and Snowden never leaked information about the CIA. Snowden's files didn't talk about the CIA. And what you discover in here is that, first of all, there are thousands of staff members at CIA and NSA who go back and forth between the agencies. Just like even the directors, you have directors of CIA become director of NSA and vice versa. That happens all the way through the ranks. These guys have like a revolving door at every level. So whether you're an analyst or whatever kind of job, whatever position you're in, they move back and forth between these agencies all the time. So it's actually not unusual at all that Snowden went from CIA to NSA. It's actually totally normal for them. The other thing you discover is that there is CIA operational information all of the way through the Snowden documents. So every time someone tells you that Snowden didn't leak information on the CIA, that is a total lie. It's complete fiction. And there's constant references to it all of the way through the docs.
Absolutely. Huge.
Correct.
Definitely.
If someone said Q is fan fiction, that's pretty funny.
Intel agency fan fiction, that might be very true.
And the other thing is that you hear that the CIA and NSA are in competition with each other and they're rivals and blah, 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 blah. But that's also total bullshit. So what you see in these docs is that the NSA collects the information and the CIA acts on the information. And they are literally the left and the right hand of the executive, and they're completely dependent upon each other. The CIA needs the NSA to do what the NSA does, so the CIA can do what it does, and vice versa. NSA just collecting the information is meaningless without CIA acting on it, and CIA can't act on it if it doesn't have NSA collecting it. So this idea that the CIA is trying to take down the NSA, blah, 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 it's like total nonsense. It's complete and utter fiction. And also you notice, like in the Hollywood movies, they push this whole thing as well, this like rivalry between one agency trying to take down another agency, blah, blah, blah. This is total bullshit. They all are dependent on each other to perform their independent functions in order for each other to be able to do what they do. So it's just utter nonsense. So this idea that like Snowden is some like CIA plot like to take down the NSA is total crap. The NSA and the CIA are like this. They are like this. So
what's
what
so
that
great about,
means,
yeah, what's so great about what Suzie is saying is that she's backed up by documents. So that's when people say, oh, why should I believe you over Q? You don't have to believe us. Just look at the actual NSA documents in their own words. So that's why what Suzie says has credibility, you know?
What Dominic Easton just said is completely correct. They have individual roles. It's like the military have the Army, Navy, and Air Force. That's exactly right. It's like the Air Force, it's like saying, oh, the Air Force have a secret plot to destroy the Navy. Like the Navy, you know, like they need each other. Like the Navy needs the Air Force needs the Navy. Like they work together. It's completely correct. And I'm just going to cough my head off. I'll be right back.
Yeah, well, I'll just expand, just comment on that again, saying that, yes, Suzie is completely right on all of this. She's had experience with these types of abusive agencies and whatnot. And but the really important thing that the people that believe in Q need to understand is that, you know, you don't just take our word for it. You know, what Suzie is saying is something that we have seen again and again and again in these documents. And if you, you know, are somebody who's on the fence about Q, I would encourage you to go back and listen to some of the old Decipher U segments and listen to some of the findings we've made, or go to Disobedient Media or Suzie Dawson's decipheru.com website, and then, or look up the Disobedient Media articles on our findings in the Snowden files, because it will be very, very clear based on the evidence from Snowden that is just like what Q is saying is impossible, just as Suzie said. So there's a huge difference between evidence-based and just somebody posting on Chan and spinning a narrative. So go ahead, Suzie.
Well, once again, you look at who benefits, right? So who benefits from people believing that actually Snowden is some super secret operation of the US government? Like the US government benefits from that, like, because then that means that no, the US government didn't have totally shit-lax security and didn't get totally pwned by someone, you know, with administrator access. Like,
exactly.
It's like the ultimate defense of them is that, oh, they're just so clever, they thought it all up themselves, but that's total crap.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we had this conversation, because I think it'll be a great segment to turn into an answer that we can then give to people. I think this is a really comprehensive discussion of all the reasons that Q is not something that people should be looking to for answers. So it's a bit more extensive than the one we had made, the discussion we'd had previously on it. So I'm glad that we talked about it.
My life is complete. Crocodile is asking what document we're on.
Yeah. I don't know. That's what we were trying to figure out before we started talking about Q, I think.
Okay, thank you. And the other thing is, I have still all of the batch 4 findings here in my notes. I tried to write them up this week, but I couldn't actually get access to decipheru.com. So
oh, really?
once I've managed to lock myself out. So it's only temporary. I just have to jump through a few hoops. So once I've got that done, I'll do the write-up. Either that or I'll get annoyed with waiting and I'll just do it on Steam It, because I'm really looking forward to doing that recap. It's going to be pretty huge.
Yeah, and after that's done, I'll do a longer discussion of some of the major findings on the Disobedient Media as well, so that we have.
Dr. Kate, you're totally right that there's like thousands and thousands of people who hate the deep state on the right and who are following Q. I mean, there's people on the left even who are following Q and who hate the deep state. I agree with you, and I watched that audience build, and I watched the way that the techniques that were being used to build that audience, and I was actually wondering, like, where are they going to funnel this to? Like, what direction? Where are they going to shepherd these? They gather together all the sheep, and then where are they going to shepherd them to? And as soon as I saw them shepherding them to attacking a whistleblower, like attacking a deep state intelligence agency target, then I was like, okay, game's up.
All right. I guess I think Susie's coughing. I'm just looking at chat right now and seeing what you guys are saying. Yeah, Alex saying, "We'll know the disinformation is complete when everybody in the American public, everything the American public believes is false." I forget who the guy was that said that, but I know it was an epic quote. Definitely. Yeah, and as far as what Suzie was mentioning just previously, in response to what Dr. Kat had to say about the fact that there are so many people who do hate the deep state following Q, that's exactly what they try to do. I mean, they're trying to manipulate the people who they know would otherwise be doing everything in their power to fight them or to you know, go against them. So it's in their best interest to focus their tactics not on the people that are just kind of like going about their lives and don't care, but on the people who would actively be wanting to fight the deep state. That's why they're targeting that audience. And as I said in the beginning of this discussion, part of that is to make the people who are concerned about the quote unquote deep state complacent by convincing them that, oh, it's fine, you know, the white hats in the agencies are just working behind the scenes and you don't need to do anything. And you know, just wait for this storm to happen. It'll all be fine. You know, that is another huge red flag to me personally, that this is something that is, as you mentioned, directed at the people who are concerned about the military industrial complex and the unelected power in these intelligence agencies, but that is aimed at negating any action those people might take against those interests, or like some, you know, whatever actual initiative might be taken to create some sort of solidarity behind fighting.
You just made a really great point there, which is that actually Q is like restoring people's faith in the intelligence agencies.
Exactly.
And this idea that the intelligence agencies are like all on the left or on the right, this is total freaking nonsense as well. Like what we see in these documents is that all of the intelligence agencies are globalists. They talk about a global network. They want to own every country on earth. They want to operate and have access to every country on earth. Oh, thank you. Propaganda says, you two girls keep me sane. That's so cool. But these guys are the ultimate globalists. And also, they don't give a flying toss about elections or politicians. They don't even care about Trump, because Trump is going to be gone in 8 years no matter what. And exactly, the military industrial complex, they think in terms of like 40 years, 50 years, like all their 20 years strategic planning, documentation, everything else. Like they don't care whether there is a Democrat or there is a Republican in power. They don't give a toss, because they will be still ruling the roost behind the scenes no matter what. So when you talk about the deep state, the ultimate deep state is the intelligence agencies, and behind them, what's known as the customers of the intelligence agencies, which is the people who are actually instructing the intelligence agencies on what to do and what information to pull out of their giant frickin' Eye of Sauron like databases. So that is the deep state, the intelligence agencies and the customers of the intelligence agencies, beyond the politicians, beyond Washington, D.C. And it's literally a global network. So this idea that, like, you know, don't worry, there are good guys in the intelligence agency who are going to take down Trump or take down Clinton or take down whoever, it's total shit. Total circus, reality TV nonsense.
It's literally that theater that people talk about when they talk about intelligence agency psyops.
And who do they hate? Who does that deep state, the intelligence agencies and their customers, hate more than anybody? They hate Julian Assange and they hate Edward Snowden. So don't fall for it. Don't ever be tricked into targeting a target of the intelligence agencies, or you're literally just serving the intelligence agencies and serving the deep state. Okay. So let's move on to the documents.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that was a valuable talk that we had. And I'm hoping it helps some people. Like, I don't mean to come across as hating people that fall for any psyop. It's just, you know, we want to encourage people to see through it, you know?
Oh, cool. There's some more stuff about SIGINT customers coming up.
Awesome. What number are we
That
up to?
always makes me happy.
Did anybody end up finding?
So I see 85 who was redacted and what is this job? We definitely did that. We did global vision, single logon, Hungarian stuff, we did that. DSL, we did that. The Reinhardt brown bag presentation, we did that. Do you know where to go for HR support? We did that. I don't actually see any Horn of Africa thing.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
We did from SIGINT to human to SIGINT. Didn't we?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure we did that. Right. SIGINT myths. The traffic ferry. Did we do the traffic ferry? I think so. Eagle view, we did that. Do you know your property officer? We did that. Thoughts on dealing. I think we're up to here. I'm pretty sure. I'm going to start here because this to me is the most fascinating aspect, is where we've uncovered who is telling these intelligence agencies what to do, and the answer is the customers. And the other thing to understand too, just while we're summing up that rant, is that the NSA is a business. It's money in and money out.
Absolutely.
And it really is all about money. And a huge amount of the spying is economic spying and about money too. Okay, so here we go. Thoughts on dealing with our SIGINT customers from an intelligence analysis intern. An intern's impressions and opinions regarding NSA's customer support. My name is Redacted. I am an IA intelligence analyst intern in the middle of my 4th tour, and I'd like to relate some of my experiences doing mini tours assisting NSA liaisons to non-military customers in Washington, D.C. I did this because I wanted to better understand how NSA serves its customers, and I've learned a great deal about customer service in general. Since these customers usually can't pull intel from us, we must push it to them. And our customer liaisons make the decisions on what to push to whom. My job was to help out and fill in when the regular customer liaisons couldn't be there. An example from one mini tour follows. The nature of the job. That's not easy. There are long hours, busy meeting schedules, and feverish attempts to keep timely intel flowing to the customer. You have to be diligent about asking for feedback from customers who might not otherwise be liberal with it, and aware of schedules and priorities to send back to the target officers of primary interest, NSA, to help shape reporting to the customer need. Customer needs and the customer needs information portal is where they log the requests from the customers for intelligence. Here are some main job features. The work is fast-paced and requires persistent contact. Because of the fluid demands of the policymaker's schedule, meetings can be cancelled or rescheduled on a moment's notice. The work can be front-loaded. It helps to come early in order to have the day's SIGINT ready to go out before business hours. Then again, many of the best times for meeting with busy customers tend to occur between 5 and 6 p.m., hence the long hours. The job requires personal interaction. Friendliness and inquisitiveness are a must to get the feedback that is the lifeblood of NSA. The greatest thing you can achieve as a liaison is to garner feedback that changes how NSA reports. The work reports in that sense means the product that they're giving to the customers. The work is necessarily a bit disorganized. Digital presentation, which the permanent liaison has asked for in the form of e-tablets, would improve delivery greatly. But for now, reporting at this location is printed, addressed, and feedback recorded on paper, and it can be hard to keep up with. Lessons learned. This mini tour allowed me to think about the uses of our reporting in ways I had never before. Just watching a customer actually read intel is an experience every intern and analyst should have. The customer concept is seemingly underappreciated at NSA, and there may be areas where we fall short on putting the customer first. First, the familiar refrain of understaffing applies. The difference here is that adding even one full-time person to the staff of one, even an intern, would go so far to solve the problem that it should be reasonable, even in an agency that is as widely understaffed as NSA. Second, the main challenge of this post is organizational, which doesn't have to be the case. Our paper distribution leaves us with stacks of paper with several addressees. Multiple addressees mean ever-shifting stacks. Sorry, guys, hang on. Third, our presentation needs work. The format, not just the distribution of our reports, is too archaic for the information age. Our intelligence is often more important to the customer than that of other agencies because of its tactical nature, yet it is not as easy to read or understand. Our reports are avidly read, but our customer can take 20 minutes to read a report that, with use of white space and information mapping, might take 5. NSA's production tools need an overhaul to get to that level of quality, but customer satisfaction should be all the motivation we need to get that job done. Customer support can be considered unglamorous work at NSA since it doesn't put out product. That kind of thinking is akin to old Communist Party bosses, more concerned with how many nails their factories produce than they use. But I can assure you our customer liaisons are crucial to the agency's intelligence mission. If people don't read our reports, the right reports at the right time, the volume of product is irrelevant. So while you may not think you'll produce if you take a tour or a rotation in a customer relationships office, you will make a positive impact on a crucial and sometimes neglected agency mission. Okay, so sadly that didn't actually tell us a whole lot. Previous documents about customers have been a little bit more revealing than that one. I'm trying to think if there's anything there that is significant. Other than the fact that most of this is still being done on paper. But bearing in mind this is 2005, that document.
That makes sense.
Okay, moving along. Do you want to read the next one for me, Elizabeth? Because thank you. I'm scared that my voice is just going to give out on me.
No, that's totally fine. While you were reading that, I was actually sharing the watch link on social media around. So I've got that done, so I'm ready to read.
Cool. Okay, here we go.
Awesome. So it's unclassified. It says, in the national interest, supporting the non-Title 50 organizations. And it's from the customer account manager. Ooh, Suzie, this looks interesting. This looks very interesting.
I was just thinking exactly the same thing. I was just thinking this is going to tell us more about who the customers are. Thank God.
Yeah, if you weren't around, in the last few months consistently, you may not know, but Suzie and I both really have been looking for any information we can get about the customers of the NSA, because as Suzie said earlier in this stream, they are the ones that are driving, what the NSA collects and analyzes. So hopefully this will give us more information on those customers, because they are truly the unelected powers driving the NSA and the intelligence agencies. So providing SIGINT to departments and agencies that are outside the intelligence community. The primary and traditional clients for SIGINT information are the organizations that make up the intelligence community, or IC, especially the military components of the Defense Department. However, there are other executive branch organizations outside the IC called non-Title 50 agencies that are also receive SIGINT products and services. These are non-traditional clients in the sense that their intelligence needs are driven by national policy issues and are usually more strategic than combat support focused. However, they can sometimes be tactical as well, as in the economic or trade sense. And that's something we saw with the USDA as a side note. What does the non-Title 50 organization or customer look like? Organizations identified as key non-Title 50 agencies include departmental entities such as the Department of Agriculture, Commerce, and Interior, and independent agencies such as the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, Federal Reserve Board, Federal Communications Commission, and the Joint Terrorist Tracking Task Forces. By their differing missions, They represent a very diverse client set for SIGINT support. And then it goes into some top secret information about how does NSA support non-Title 50 agencies. Since the terrorist attacks of September 11th, 2001, these non-Title 50 agencies have gained added responsibilities to protect national interests and critical infrastructures as part of the Homeland Security effort, and our intelligence support has increased accordingly. Some non-Title 50 organizations or customers have a history of using intelligence information and interact with the IC routinely. Others have very limited IC experience and must rely on the external NSA representatives or the liaison officer for SIGINT support. Another top secret paragraph, it says, what makes these customers interesting are their diverse intelligence interests, terrorist-related activity, protection of critical infrastructures, bioterrorism, trade negotiations and economic issues, political leadership, energy, nuclear proliferation, bovine spongiform encephalopathy, difficult to pronounce, or mad cow disease, severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS, banking and financial institutions, alien smuggling, protecting US monuments and landmarks are all topics that now fall within our national security interests. And back to unclassified, saying that the electronics delivery system in the client's workspace is Interlink, where the customer can readily retrieve SIGINT product through the CT link or through dial-up to the Ancre database. SIGINT on demand, or SID, is available through these systems. Our SID representatives represent the other means of product delivery, providing the sensitive series or other compartmented information reports that are not available on Interlink. The number of clients reviewing SIGINT product differs with each organization and can vary from 1, 2, or 3 senior executive officials to about 40 individuals. Depending on the schedules of the clients, the SID representatives meet with them daily, weekly, or bi-weekly, or when situations requiring the customer's immediate attention arise. Non-Title 50 agencies also receive an all-source senior executive intelligence brief daily, or the National Intelligence Daily, in which SIGINT information is incorporated. And then it says, what has been the impact of SIGINT support to non-Title 50 organizations? And the answer, which is unclassified, is from the customer's perspective, SIGINT provides unique insight, is very valuable reporting, and is very helpful, making it easier for officials to accomplish their jobs. Customer success stories indicate that SIGINT has provided that needed foreign perspective, has assisted in countering positions opposing US policy, and helps to achieve successful outcomes in delicate negotiations with international counterparts. As the use and reliance on SIGINT information increases, more requests are coming from these agencies for SIGINT training, meetings with NSA analysts, and visits to NSA for directorate level briefings and technical demonstrations. The customers are very open to information sharing and are offering to work with NSA analysts collaboratively. From the NSA perspective, support to these organizations is achieving the teaming, customer outreach, and information sharing goals as outlined in the NSA Strategic Plan and NSA Transformation 2.0 and the SID Customer Support Plan. The CSP has been a very useful tool to document the customer's strategic goals, the SIGINT intelligence information required to meet these goals, and actions that best satisfy these goals. The feedback coming from customers has been very useful in determining what our SIGINT mission priorities should be, and in steering analysis and production and realigning resources. Customer tip-off information has assisted in the analysis of collected information and has resulted in more responsive and timely reporting. In supporting the non-Title 50 organizations, we expect that the client base will grow and that the demand for SIGINT products, services, and technologies will increase. As we forge new customer relationships and work together, we do so in the national interest. And then it says, note, so-called because the IC organizations operate in accordance to Title 50 US Code, etc. I'm not sure is that the end of the article or is there more? Interesting. Okay. So what do you make of this, Suzie? Because that sounds really interesting for me. And I think that the mention of demand will increase. The demand for SIGINT products, services, and technologies will increase. That's very interesting to me because once, for the millionth time, that's a very clear economic, business, corporate type of position where they want the demand for their product to increase. because that means more money. So that's where I read that. I don't know if you have any thoughts in particular on this.
The most interesting thing was just where it said banking and financial institutions.
Yeah.
Because this is what, I mean, this probably would have been more interesting if we hadn't already discovered this stuff about the Federal Reserve Bank, etc. So for those who are just joining us today, the Federal Reserve Bank of America, which, as you know, is not a government department, it is a private institution. The Federal Reserve Bank of America is confirmed from the Snowden documents a customer of the NSA. That means if the Federal Reserve Bank of America wants to know something about anyone anywhere in the world, it can order that information from the NSA. It can file a customer needs request to the NSA for whatever information it is that it wants to know. So it basically, what the hell is going on? Says Graylin. What the hell is going on? Exactly, what the hell is going on? Yes, it is private owned and it's a customer of the NSA. Now, bearing in mind that the terms under which like the NSA talks and the intelligence community talks to the public is that this is all about the public, it's all about protecting the public, it's all about doing things for the public, blah, 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 blah. The public is supposed to be the customers ultimately of the NSA, right? They're supposed to be acting in the public interest. But what we discover increasingly is that they're serving non-government entities. It's just business, it's cockatoo. And that's exactly right. They're serving non-government entities and they're giving them access to the most sensitive intelligence that the US, propaganda says, I wonder if this has to do with taking over a country. Propaganda, every single country that the US has undermined in the last 60 years, there are dozens of them that there are, including, overthrowing democratically elected governments and everything else. All of that, all the nasty shit that the CIA has done has been on the basis of information gleaned from signals intelligence at the NSA as well as human intelligence from the CIA. So the interesting thing is that there is many videos of high-up people at FBI and NSA saying, we do not spy for economic gain. We do not spy, on for these reasons. We do it for terrorism. We do it for national security. But all the way through the Snowden documents, you see that, yes, they do spy for economic gain. They absolutely spy for economic gain. Not only do they spy for economic gain, they're spying for banking institutions that are not even government departments. And one of the most interesting things I've found in these documents today is I think this is the first reference to the Federal Communications Commission or whatever it is, the FCC. I think this is the first time that we've actually seen references to the FCC. So the fact that the FCC can just dial up the NSA's intelligence anytime it feels like it is yet another issue.
Yeah, it's extremely interesting, for sure.
Mr. K, the Federal Reserve Bank is owned by JP Morgan Chase, State Street, etc. It is a cartel of banks. Alan Greenspan used to work at home and just like Prescott Bush. Now, Prescott Bush is a name I haven't heard for a while. Mr. K, did you know that if you go back through the genealogy that Prescott Bush wasn't Prescott Bush, that was Prescott Percy? And did you know that the Bush family were British nobility? It's something that's little known is that when the Percys came to America, they took on the name Bush. And that's where the Bush dynasty has come from. Very few people know that, but if you go back through the genealogy, that's true. So yeah, I mean, even little old New Zealand got caught using the intelligence agency's global network. Yeah, Mr. K, don't ask me how I ended up reading 1,000 pages of genealogy of. The other thing that you find is that all the like past heads of the World Bank, all the people behind the World Bank, they're all related as well. It's really weird. They all have like genealogical ties.
It starts getting really creepy when you look into that stuff. It really does.
Yeah, George W. Bush is George W. Percy. Like senior and junior, honest to God.
And people, I know all of our audience obviously won't do this, but a lot of people do forget that Bush Sr. was the director of the CIA and you know, involved with all sorts of god-awful stuff. But I know that's no surprise to our audience, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's move on to the next document.
Awesome. I'll read again if you want.
But yeah, the FCC stuff, I think I've got feeling that is of note.
Yeah.
That they're also on the customer list.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was hoping maybe we'd get a few customers. I mean, obviously the FCC is the one that is new, but I was hoping we get a bit of a more extensive list of some new customers. But, oh well, hopefully in another document we'll get that.
Oh. Database reporting. Okay, so we'll just intro this for people since this document's about database reporting. So one of the other wonderful things that came out of us studying the last batch is that it turns out that the NSA customers didn't like the system of having to just put a specific request into the NSA and then having NSA give them pull a report, write an intelligence report up about it. So the NSA decided that what they would start doing is supplying customers with entire databases of data instead of giving them like a typed report. And this is incredibly significant because it means they're actually handing over the raw data that they pull out of the Eye of Sauron, database. It's hugely significant for them to be handing over huge chunks of raw data. Actually, electrospaces.net, which is a very learned source on intelligence reporting, said to me, they don't do that. They won't just hand over the raw information. There's no way they do that, blah, blah, blah. But sure enough, in the Snowden documents, we see they've been handing over raw dumps of intelligence to customers who want
that. That was definitely a huge finding.
That was another huge finding, yes. So the significance of that is that it skews the audit trail in terms of the customer request, because now rather than the customer having to request a very specific piece of information, they can instead ask for these like more broad, more generalized things. So, and then they can end up with this entire like gold mine of information that may not have anything to do whatsoever with whatever they could have justifiably requested in the first place. And it was also significant because it was the first instance that we found in the documents of an employee openly saying, this is not okay, we should not be doing this. And that employee pretty much let rip in this internal publication, in the SID Today publication at NSA. And they said, why in the hell are we handing over these whole databases of information to our customers? This is not how this is supposed to work. This is not what we're supposed to be doing. Are we putting ourselves out of a job? They said, why would we put ourselves out of a job? Why would we just give the raw data to the customer when our job is supposed to be to analyze the data and to give it my independent handle says, this is why today, listening to the Zuck, I was thinking, what a bunch of BS. Facebook is the least of our problems. Everything that they're talking about, today I retweeted a bunch of commentary about Facebook's various patents and the things that they were trying to do. And I was thinking to myself, everything that Facebook is wanting to do and wanting to patent is just a commercialized version of what the spy agencies already do and have been doing for donkey's years. So yes, everything that people are shocked about, everything people are so shocked about Facebook doing, these agencies have been doing for a decade or 2 decades or more. So absolutely. I mean, yes, it's scary. We don't want like people in the commercial space performing like using intelligence technologies, but this is exactly what these agencies do. I actually wrote an article about the Tor project a few years ago where I talked about how the technology is developed and how it filters through to the public. And it, first of all, it's within the military. And then it goes through moves through the industrial space and then the commercial space long before it even makes it to the public. Okay. So this database reporting caused this whole internal like conundrum at the NSA. And then they had like a rebuttal piece to the dissenting guy, basically saying, no, this is just a more efficient way of us providing data to our customers, and we're gonna better serve our customer needs by giving them these giant, access to these giant databases full of data, as opposed to just giving them one intelligence report. So now it looks like we're going to learn a bit more about that. Do you want to read through, Elizabeth, for me?
Sure, absolutely. It's titled "The Medium is the Message," with apologies to Marshall McLuhan, and it's from Information Sharing Services and Proliferation and Arms Control. Subtitled "The Latest Stage in the Evolution of Database Reporting." And looks like it's mostly secret. It says, last October, the analysis and production operations staff told you about the database reporting initiative, making SIGINT shareable. The database is the report. Now this initiative has progressed a step further. We are pleased to announce that advanced SIGINT database reports, serialized, searchable, relational, and password protected, have now been published on Interlink and the second-party mall. These database reports are available at redacted. Access requires an account, and the site includes an account application. External customers were briefed about this new capability starting in mid-March, and the initial reaction has been very positive. This initiative supports Durance's instruction to the workforce expressed in cryptology and as a team sport to live in our customers' information space in order to engage them at the earliest possible stages in our respective processes. Then it says these reports on the topic of Iranian nuclear procurement are being published by the Office of Proliferation and Arms Control's nuclear branch, the CBW and CBRN terrorism branch, and the publication development branch's EPIC team. The three offices and their parent organizations work long and hard to ensure that all the reporting requirements for accountability and tracking of source data were met. S2G11 and S2G13 issued a precise or precis, I'm not sure if that's a typo, standard procedure for such reporting vehicles as hard copy and multimedia reports, electronically notifying customers where the actual reports are available, and acting as placeholders in the Ankara product report database. And then it says about Iranian nuclear procurement reporting. And so we've moved from secret to top secret. And it says, with the support of Operation SIGINT, the Iranian Nuclear Procurement Database Reporting Initiative has made it possible to publish large volumes of easily formatted data, structured content quickly and efficiently. This database reporting supplements rather than replaces current SIGINT reporting on these targets. Customers now have greater access to valuable SIGINT information than ever before. So far, the data include categories for procurement, organizations, people, account numbers, shipping information, conferences, and papers. S2G13 currently has a data set available only for CBW, but an additional data set for CBRN is expected this year. A requirement for our PAC high interest cargoes or HIC database has also been established. Now going back to unclassified, and it says post-publication requests. Customers can submit post-publication requests to include sanitization requests by using the database serial number and the record identification number. At the start of each new year, the database name will remain the same, but will be assigned a new annual serial number reflecting the date change. And then questions, a database reporting FAQ is available on Epic's structured SIGINT sharing space webpage. It lists many benefits of this extension of delivery services. S2G1 would appreciate knowing what users think about this new capability, and the Epic team is eager to find and address problem areas and help develop standards for storing and presenting data so that this concept can be applied to other data sources. Then it says both the target officers and the database developers encourage feedback, etc. via SIGINT. Provides a redacted link, and then it says that analysts are willing to host demos. The Rebuilding Analysis Program Office is making funds available to support this venture. We urge other target officers to consider taking advantage of the opportunity to optimize customer access by contacting the Epic team at redacted, etc. redacted. I think that looks like the end of the document from where I'm sitting, but.
So my read of that is that they are selling this internally the same way that they would sell it to the public, which is it's all about, with nuclear proliferation and
you stumble over that word too. It sucks.
It's targeting Iran, and blah 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 blah. But I can just smell that 2 minutes later it's going to be economics and banking for the Reserve Bank or whatever. But it's clear that it was a really significant event for them to have open internal dissent about what they were doing with this, and so it doesn't surprise me in the slightest that they have chosen to work on Iran nuclear proliferation as the first instance of database reporting.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Just checking chat real quick. And thank you for everybody who's tweeting about the stream. I really appreciate it.
And while Susie's checking the chat, I have one thought that relates to some of the stuff we talked about earlier, and it's just a side note based on some feedback I got, because one of the things I've received from a couple of people is statements like, oh, you're demonizing the whole NSA, and you need to not do that. And we don't really intend to do that, because Suzie and I both know that there are good people like Bill Binney and Chelsea Manning and Edward Snowden that work for various agencies. So we know they're good individuals, but on the whole, we're very critical of what these documents are showing. So anyway, I just wanted to get that out of my system before I forgot.
Freedom House. Wow, Mr. K has sent me a tweet about Freedom House. This is very, very interesting, extremely interesting, that James Woolsey, former CIA director, is the new director at Freedom House. The reason this is so interesting is because Freedom House ranks, it's ridiculous, it ranks how much democracy a country has,
that's hilarious.
how free a country is. And so this idea that a CIA director would be the arbiter of how free or how democratic a country is totally ridiculous.
Definitely.
Thank you for sending me that, Mr. K. That's extremely interesting. I know I'm going to cough.
No problem. And while Susie coughs, I'm just going to check chat. And I see more comments about Facebook. When it comes to Syria and these events with Facebook, these are the things, and I know that, universally it's a total human rights violation that Assange can't speak. But I really sense the absence of Assange on Twitter when events like this Facebook hearing, the Zuckerberg hearing happened, and with the issues with Syria that are going on right now. I really, really sense that that empty space that Assange has left, and I know a lot of people do too. So that's my random thought while Suzie had to cough. But see what else people have said. Yeah, and Facebook trying to steal people's confidential records and stuff. Like, I don't know about anybody else, but to me that was pretty expected. That wasn't something that shocked me. But yeah, trying to steal confidential medical records, that is definitely even worse than what they've been talking about already. I'm just reading through what you guys are saying. One interesting kind of story that Disobedient Media has published relatively recently that goes back to the narratives and the psyops done by intelligence agencies relates to that whole MIFSUD story. And I don't want to get into that here, but you know, it really does get complex when these groups want to achieve whatever goal, and they will just weave this extremely tangled web in order to achieve it. But definitely complicated but interesting.
I'm just skimming through. You guys should be able to see this. I'm just skimming through a couple of docs to save our voices for having to read through them. Okay, so what is Title 10? We've learned about non-Title 50. I'd like to know, and this would be great information to put into the Etherpad, please. What is Title 10 and what is Title 50? And then if you could make a note of that term, Title 10/50 blending. Oh, it says here, Title 10 is in Title 10 US Code, provides legal authority for war fighting. Title 50 provides authority to collect and produce intelligence. So non-Title 50 would be people who don't have the authority to collect and produce intelligence. And yet at the top of this document, it said that their vision of the future, their net-centric enterprise of the future, will have collaboration and information sharing across the community.
Interesting.
Okay, let's check this out. So this right here, Shelley, you'll find this interesting. This is an ultimate corporate goal. Oh, far out. See these words, access planning. This is really key. Okay, so maybe I should give you guys a little intro to this. So yet another discovery that we made previously is that the NSA not only collects information from foreign satellite equipment of partner nations, and with second and third party partners, we're talking like, you know, dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of countries. But it can operate their equipment. It's not just that it can like access the data or the data is uploaded to them. They can directly access and operate the hardware and equipment and systems of those countries. So this document now that we're looking at is talking about, I mean, I assume that you all would have seen, like, have you guys all seen photos of like the, you know, spy domes, the bubbles, the spy bubbles at the satellite sites like they have in Waihopai in New Zealand, and they have in Alice Springs, Shelley knows very well, at Pine Gap in Australia. This document is talking about what they actually want to do with it, and updating on how their program is coming along. Okay, this month, we'll read this. From roadbed to EKB, the journey continues. This month, roadbed, a Five Eyes foreign satellite database, so this is where they're collecting the information from the satellites, took another step forward in its transformation to NSA's corporate environmental knowledge base. Roadbed currently contains metadata from the foreign satellite collection efforts of NSA and its Five Eyes partners, which is UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand's agencies, partner agencies. The EKB, the knowledge base, will eventually include foreign satellite cable and overhead data that can be used to holistically characterize the access environment and facilitate sharing of dynamic physical, signal, and logical information and metadata from collected signals. So right now, they're saying that they just have metadata in this database. They are integrating it, or they use the word transformation, I assume being part of transformation 2.0. Excuse me, sniffing away. But they want it all. Basically, they want it all. They want all of this. Dynamic physical signal and logical information and metadata from the collected signals. This enhanced signals environment characterization will permit more refined and effective access planning, an ultimate corporate goal. The first step in transforming roadbed to the knowledge base was the development of a web-based prototype, redacted, available to all NSA and second-party users from August to December 2004, which is prior to this document. Successful testing of live data paved the way for the knowledge base rollout in March 2005. The web-based knowledge base has a 3-tier Java application with a user interface that even your grandmother could use. With an expanded set of data fields, a Google-like search engine. That aspect is how XKeyscore has been described. And web-based service, users no longer need to be tool experts to take advantage of a wealth of SIG information. Inclusion of cable data represents the next step in achieving a corporate EKB solution. An April 2005 prototype will give selected NSA users the ability to view environmental data from 8 special source operations sites in addition to the foreign satellite data. Viewing special source operations and foreign satellite data from the central interface will provide SIGINT customers with a unique opportunity to easily expand their field of view. The roll-in of overhead data will begin in the fall of 2006. One-stop shopping for environmental data from multiple accesses is truly just around the corner. The roadbed knowledge-based team, data acquisition, radio frequency operations, and analysis and production services partnership. So this is just saying that these are the different teams that are involved, the different areas of SID, Signals Intelligence Directorate, that are involved. continues to work closely with the SID systems engineering to make the knowledge base irrelevant, and God, the language, and true corporate solution.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally.
Interested in providing feedback, blah, 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 check out our website. So that is the most significant thing I saw in the document.
Definitely.
Other than where they listed everything that they want to capture in one place. But what I take this to mean is that NSA customers are essentially gaining access to all of these foreign systems through the central knowledge base.
Absolutely.
And when you think about who the NSA customers are, okay, apparently my internet's crapping out. When you think about who the NSA customers are, you start questioning what in the hell is the benefit to all these countries whose spying infrastructure is being utilized for the benefit of NSA and NSA's customers.
Absolutely, definitely.
Because what that means is that New Zealand's spying systems are being used for the benefit of not the Reserve Bank of New Zealand, but the benefit of the Federal Reserve Bank of America, or all the other customers who we've discussed.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting. I would definitely make a note of that in the Etherpad. I think that quote and the document would definitely be something we want to write up, even just a brief line. How's chat going?
Yeah, I'm just doing that now.
Somebody says Elon Musk makes my skin crawl. That's funny. I have mixed feelings about Elon Musk. Yeah, on AI, yeah, it's very, very disturbing. And Elon Musk is also part of the quote-unquote PayPal mafia that, as far as PayPal goes, PayPal is one of the groups that as Suzie reminded me, not only helped the blockade against WikiLeaks being funded, but also shut down funding for the Chelsea Manning support group. So very interesting web of connections there when you go into the people that make up the quote-unquote PayPal mafia. And I'm not making up that term myself. That was used by Fortune magazine to discuss these people.
Wow, look at this. Unfortunately, there's virtually no information in it, but look at this.
Capturing Zakari's laptop. Wow. Interesting.
Wow, the NCTC is going to be phenomenally interesting. But we're not quite there yet. Okay, I'm not going to read through this because we've had. Oh, it tells us what all 4 scenarios are.
Oh, interesting.
Because previously it didn't.
That's interesting.
Davos World is Davos World. That's a reference to the World Economic Forum. Okay, this needs to go on the Etherpad, please, David.
Yeah, definitely. Wow.
We really, really need to have this in the Etherpad because we need to look more into those. That was one of the questions we had previously, is what were the 4? I think we only knew 2 of them, 2 of the scenarios in the 2020 planning documents. Amazing. Okay. Will you take us through this one, Elizabeth?
Sure.
Or if you just want to, I'm just going to grab some more water. If you can just go through
Yeah.
for a sec.
I won't be able to scroll it myself, but what I will do, you leave the screen how it is. I'll just read through mine. So it's titled Venezuela's President.
I just thought if you just like address chat for a couple of minutes, then I can do the scrolling for you. Okay. I just going to grab some water.
Sure. Yeah, I'll just chat. I'll just ramble with you guys. Totally fine. So what do you guys have on your minds? Facebook and AI code. Yeah. Facebook. And I saw a really great and just kind of side note about algorithms and whatnot that you guys are talking about on social media in general. I saw a really great Jimmy Dore post segment. I don't know exactly when he posted it. I think it was relatively recent, where he was talking about the YouTube admitting that its algorithms prevent followers from getting the notifications they sign up for. They have admitted that they unsubscribe people from channels. So, and he's been told that that people have been unsubscribed from him like 4 different times. That even if you sign up for the notifications, like by clicking that bell next to the subscribe button, that people still don't see any notifications from him, and that and YouTube also has admitted that they don't notify people who have clicked on the subscribe button that you're like doing a live stream. They just won't like that, and they say, oh well, we just determine which of your subscribers really do interact with you the most, so we decide who gets to actually get those notifications, and it's just totally crap. So basically the censorship is so blatant that they've actually just come out and admitted they just don't care anymore. So it's absolutely awful. And I think that goes along really well with some of this Facebook stuff that we're seeing in the last few days with this hearing. And I think it's hilarious that this whole Russiagate hysteria has actually come around to the point where, the head of a giant social media monolith is facing the ire of that Clinton-inspired Russiagate stuff. But so I'm looking at what he's saying.
Call him back, by the way.
Awesome. Yeah, and the person with the Cyrillic name, whether ironically or not, I don't care. You're talking about the AI and the association between AI and the NSA and CIA. And I would just say about that at Dispute Media, I've published a couple of articles on the issue of not only AI, but the weaponization of AI and the connection between some of these giant tech companies like Amazon and Google and their connections with the CIA, and specifically in developing weaponized AI for them. So you can check that out on Dispute Media if you're interested. Just search artificial intelligence on the site. But yeah, I'm ready to read whenever. I'm not seeing a shared screen, Suzie.
Sorry, I was just on Twitter. Mr. K has been sending me some extremely interesting stuff. Okay, here we go.
Troy Alexander just asked if Julian Assange is free. I don't know where you're getting that information, but I highly doubt it. He's been facing some really increased, awful treatment lately. So
Whoops. What the hell? Give me the right browser.
Awesome. Okay, so Venezuela's President Chavez. Castro's.
Hold on a second. Sorry.
Huh? What's up?
I don't know how I managed to botch my Safari. Hold on a second.
You're fine. But yeah, while Suzie sorts that out, I'm actually curious about why Troy asked if Julian Assange is free. Well, I don't know where you said somebody posted that he is free in Ecuador, and I don't know where that person would be sourcing their information, but I very, very much doubt that, because it's been very, very brutal for his family and friends not to be able to contact him while he's been not only confined in the embassy, but totally cut off and in a state of solitary confinement, essentially. And that's something that WikiLeaks posted, is that he is current. And when you think about it, he really is currently in a state of solitary confinement. And that has a demonstrable negative effect on people's brains. So much less the effect on him by just the years in that small space. It's just horrendous. And so I think that the narrative that he would be safe in, like, Switzerland or Sweden, or not Sweden, obviously, but, or Ecuador or anywhere else, only benefits intelligence agencies, because once again, it makes his supporters less enthusiastic in fighting to end the torture that he has been experiencing. So don't fall for that stuff. It's just not for the best. But yeah, no, I'm not at all like criticizing you. I'm just explaining, because I've seen a few people, like especially people who listen to Q, will tell me that. And again, that's a narrative that encourages complacency. So I wish Graylin, the thing is that what they have, and it's been reported in the news that they have, is an actual physical jammer that is it's in the embassy. So even if you had a really giant Wi-Fi signal right outside, like, it wouldn't get through. Like, they're jamming everything in the embassy, as well as phone calls and all of that. So it's just not good at all. So yeah, I wish Cacti Juice, I wish we could do an underground railroad for Assange, but at this stage it does not seem likely. So do you want me to start reading, Suzie?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. So back over to the documents, we've got Venezuela's President Chavez is Castro's ideological successor. And from redacted Cineo for Latin America, it says Venezuelan leadership and intelligence target. That's interesting. I'm very interested in anything to do with Latin and South America, especially as chat was talking about Assange just a bit earlier. But anyway, so the first paragraph is secret. It says, over the past few weeks, the Bush administration has identified Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez as a threat to democracy in the region in general, and a threat to US interests in particular. Chavez is a throwback to the Cold War era. He is an ardent admirer and supporter of Cold War dinosaur Fidel Castro, whom Chavez views as his mentor. Following in his mentor's footsteps, Chavez is virulently anti-US and is actively seeking to end the oil relationship. There we go. There's the reason for the actual animosity, the oil relationship between the two countries, and to pursue any course of action he believes will have a negative impact on the United States. The administration has tasked the intelligence community with improving our capabilities vis-a-vis Venezuela to enhance policymakers' understanding of the Chavez regime's plans and intentions, so that policymakers can develop a means for countering them. And I have to say really fast that I've almost written an article on the fact that Trump and Obama are the exact same, especially in regards to them both sanctioning Venezuela and helping to create the horrific conditions there. but that's for later discussion. Anyway, so back to the document. Having centralized control over the government and military and weakened opposition groups to the point that they are incapable of offering a viable alternative to his regime, Chavez is focusing his efforts on exporting his Bolivarian revolution to neighboring countries, casting the United States in the role of imperial exploiter of Latin America and seeking to create regional trade and security blocs that would exclude the United States. Again, we see what the real issue here has nothing to do with Marxism or anything. So other democratic nations in Latin America are concerned with his efforts to develop and strengthen ties to insurgent and populist groups in the region could lead to civil unrest, and that his anti-free market policies could impact negatively on their economies. Chavez is also reaching out to countries of enduring concern to the United States, particularly China, Iran, and Russia, to develop ties and further cooperation as another means of pursuing his anti-US strategy. In addition to threatening democratic institutions in the region, Chavez is working to limit Venezuela's dependency on the United States to purchase Venezuelan oil. The high sulfur content of the oil requires specialized processing, and most of the refineries capable of handling this crude are in the United States. Although there is an element of the impractical in Chavez's desire to reduce oil deliveries to the United States, since Venezuela is the fourth largest supplier of oil to the United States, any threat to cut off that supply is one that needs to be taken seriously. From a SIG perspective, Venezuela poses a particularly difficult challenge. With Castro as his mentor, Chavez has learned the importance of communications security and has made sure that his subordinates understand this as well. NSA, in conjunction with its collection partners in the intelligence community, is working to improve our capabilities in the region through a series of surveys and initiatives designed to help enhance our collection on a range of important issues related to Venezuela. And I think this is a fascinating document because it supports the idea that our aggression towards Venezuela is literally economic and about oil and trade, and that's why we sanction them. But which is a huge, I mean,
I agree with that. The only thing,
write an article just based on this, honestly.
The only thing that we need to do now is go back and see if it's in the Intercept reporting on batch 5.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, very true. But even if it is, I would still use the Intercept. I mean, it wouldn't be a Decipher finding that is unique, but I would still use it while citing the Intercept's report in order to describe that sameness of policy by Trump and Obama on Venezuela and destroying that country because of oil.
It's the second overt admission within the NSA documents provided by Snowden that military targeting is on the basis of oil. Because yet again, that's something that the US denies all the time.
Yeah, in public and then in private.
In public, they deny all the time that it's about oil. So the first one, if you guys haven't been with us for long, was West Africa. So they talked about specifically the deployment of the military, US military in West Africa, as they openly discussed the fact that it was to secure the unimpeded flow of oil to the US and its allies.
And one thing about that was so interesting was the fact that what they seem to do is, instead of just admitting, oh, we're going into war for oil, what they do is they, like in this document with Venezuela as well, you see that to them, oil is a military type of interest. So what I mean by that is that when they talk about Venezuela cutting off oil supply, they see that as a military threat. They're talking about that as a military action almost on the part of Venezuela. And that's really incredible to me to see that. Especially in comparison with the public discussion of it. The public would always be about, as they said, like the communist Marxist type issues, but really we see exactly what it's about here. So awesome.
I'm just adding that to my notes, and also that it needs to be checked to see if it was in the Intercept batch 5 reporting.
Yeah, I had felt bad about not writing about Venezuela previously, but I guess I'm glad I held off, because this will be something that will be helpful in trying to do that, even if the Intercept has reported on it.
I just realized, I don't know how we've managed it, but we seem to have been on stream for 2 hours already. So we'll just finish the next 3 documents, and then I'll wrap it. I'm really looking forward to the NCTC one, which is one after this one. Okay, here we go.
Awesome. Are you going to read it or am I going to read it? I don't mind.
That would be great if you could. Thank you. I'm really croaking at the moment.
Not a problem. So this is titled Almost Like Being There, Collaborating via Info Workspace. And it looks like it's unclassified. It's subtitled Virtual Conferencing, a Hit with Users. And it says collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. The call is coming in from everywhere as the need to inform better partnerships, closer working relationships, and more effective information sharing has become critical to the success of the intelligence community's many missions. One of the many tools currently available to our workforce that can greatly enhance the ability to collaborate with team members, partners, and customers is Info Workspace, or IWS. In a nutshell, IWS is a software suite that allows a user to enter into collaborative sessions with other analysts from the desktop. The tool consists of a virtual structure of buildings, floors, and rooms for conducting these sessions. It encompasses both chat and voice, and in the future, it may include video. Text tools, whiteboards, file cabinets, threaded discussions, shared view capabilities, and a voting tool are available. Currently, and this is classified, IWS is the IC collaborative tool of choice and is widely used on JWICS and SIPRnet. The IWS suite of NSA consists of 3 servers supporting a wide range of communities of interest, and the DrawMind server supports the COI Five Eyes level. The VoteDoor server supports the top secret Five Eyes level, I think, and the recently added Skyforge server supports COIs at the top secret and secret Five Eyes level with the additional capability of hosting access from JWICS. And if I've misinterpreted that, you just let me know, Suzie. But access to the JWICS suite of IWS servers and the intelligence community IWS servers from NSANet is available. There are over 3,500 persons within the NSA community with IWS accounts across the various servers, with over 1,000 participating in active collaborative sessions. And then we go to some secret information, and it says here are a few comments from IWS users attesting to its usefulness in fostering good collaboration. The first one says, from the group that supported the Summer Olympics, IWS is proving a seamless tool for coordinating security activities. From a new user, I'm sold. IWS is the greatest thing since sliced bread. With the basic knowledge of capabilities, it's pretty intuitive, and that's coming from an IT dinosaur like me, so don't think it will present too much of a learning curve. Features like online chat, speaking as well as typing, document viewing and modification, and conference room to view PowerPoint, etc., will make our communication much easier. From a session conducted on JWICS, session included participants from NSA, DIA, Southcom, Stratcom, and Northcom. Several of the participants made a point to say that this was far and away the best JCE and IWS session the group has ever had. We were at no point stymied by technical problems, and as far as I could tell, all the features we used, which included text messaging, audio, bulletin board, and shared view, worked normally. I think this experience went a long way towards changing some folks' minds about JCE and IWS virtual conferencing, which is a good thing. And this comment from an outsider trying to get in, we miss out on a tremendous amount of information by not being up on NSANet, specifically on IWS community room called the Woodshed, which is multi-int tipping, where representatives of the Five Eyes community agencies share information. It has progressed beyond just copy-paste of reporting to a collaborative environment where members discuss collection strategies and analytical judgments, and where new ideas and information exchange are encouraged. This is a dramatic shift from the Zircon and Merck chat that we currently use on JWICS, where the old information ownership models dominate.
My God, they were using MIRC. You're joking me.
That's interesting.
Microsoft Internet Relay Chat. The NSA were using MIRC. Unbelievable.
And then it says, last bit of it, it says that IWS is on the NES baseline, and information on how to get access to this tool, establish an account, and apply for training can be found at Go IWS. Additional information can be found at Go SID Collaboration, and it looks like, then it says many people, including the Five Eyes,
oh my God,
collaborate. And then I think that looks like the end of the document.
Okay, so basically the significance there is that they had access to video conferencing and collaborative software in March 2005 up
That's
to
cool.
director level. They didn't have video yet. That was probably a bandwidth and storage capacity issue at that time. The other thing I note is that technology like Google Docs, this is very, very much, well, a component of this is like Google Docs. It's also like an alpha of Zoom. It's like a Zoom with no YouTube, like what we're using right now.
And that's very, very early for that type of capability, or maybe not extremely early, but it's still pretty early.
I'm trying to think about like, where was I in the corporate space in like 2005? Telcos weren't using this that long ago. And this is something we saw previously as well in other documents. There was a reference to NSA having a collaborative multimedia portal, and I think it was like 1993 or something.
Yeah,
they had the ability to like send each other image files and video files and stuff specifically through a web portal.
Yeah, that was incredible. I remember that.
At a time that the entire rest of the world only had text.
Exactly.
And couldn't even attach, these things to emails. So it was friggin' amazing.
Absolutely. And I remember that. And I remember we had, for those who weren't there, we had an entire discussion in that segment of Decipher You about how the intelligence agencies choke the new developments in technology for themselves, and then it slowly goes down to the corporate sphere, and then finally the people get it a long time later. And that's a big subject that Suzie covered when we initially found some stuff about that she was just mentioning.
Right.
Looking at chat really fast. Oh yeah, so Shelley's saying that MIRC is an internet relay chat client for Windows, created in 95, etc. Yeah.
It's how geeks talked. Several 100,000 geeks around the world. The Microsoft client was considered the most accessible. There were other clients for IRC. But the idea of a bunch of NSA staffers on a Microsoft IRC chat room is quite hilarious.
It really is.
To anybody who used it back then. It was extremely rudimentary. It was, the IRC still exists to this day, don't get me wrong, but I'm sure Microsoft IRC, MIRC, probably still exists to this day. No doubt, but it's basically like just the ability to create a chat window for people to have a username. There were bots that you could programmable bots or server-wide bots for channel management, user management, and you had very basic like operator level access and privileges and channel member access and privileges. But it was just basically text in a window and very little else. There was like file transfer protocols and stuff, but it's a very, very rudimentary form. It was really, I guess we would say it was like a 1.0 version of social media, actually.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Between that and home pages. Okay, yeah. So the NCTC. So the NCTC is interesting to me because the NCTC targeted the Occupy movement. The official NCTC Twitter account, which no longer exists, followed my activism Twitter account from the main NCTC account when I was an activist, which was something that at the time I was like, why in the hell is the US National Center for Counterterrorism Control following me? Like, I'm like just trying to feed and house people and like, doing basic activist activities. And yet they're following me from this official Twitter account. And later it came out that sure enough, they were heavily involved in the targeting of Occupy and other related movements. So this document here is telling us that, in fact, they, within 3 months of being created, they were made an NSA customer.
Crazy, crazy stuff. Propaganda says a security agency followed me on Twitter. I don't think, I haven't noticed if they have, but I haven't noticed any security agency type stuff following me, but I have constantly have the NSA or, you know, similar type of Twitter accounts that I'm suggested to follow. When the who to follow is there, like 90% of the time, the NSA is the top one. I'm just like, thanks.
So what I'm getting from this document, which I'm not going to read through word for word, is that NCTC were targeting Occupy. NCTC were an NSA customer. That means that, yes, NSA personnel were used in the targeting of the Occupy movement. This is the...
That's pretty massive, I think.
That's pretty massive. There's prior public revelations about FBI and DHS and even the White House being involved in the targeting of the Occupy movement. How do I put this nicely? Take this off share to say this. I have long suspected, for very good reasons, that NSA staff members were involved in targeting key members of the Occupy movement, including myself. This confirms the direct relationship between the NCTC and the NSA.
Yeah, that's a really big deal. I wonder if the Interceptors reported on this one. Probably not. Suzie, can you still hear me? I think my internet just kind of...
I can hear you. Sorry, I'm just sneezing and coughing and wiping my nose, but yeah, I can.
My internet seemed to go a bit slow for a second, so...
So what the NCTC are supposed to do with their time is conduct strategic and operational planning for counterterrorism activities, identifying, coordinating and prioritizing counterterrorism requirements, analyzing and integrating all intelligence pertaining to terrorism and counterterrorism, establishing the information technology systems and architectures for counterterrorism information sharing, and serving as a central and shared knowledge bank on terrorism information. So it's just yet another level of proof that, pardon me, now I've got hiccups just to top it all off. It's just even more proof that counterterrorism resources, which are supposed to be for like violent extremist groups and blah, 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 usually foreign based, were in fact being squandered and wasted on democratic movements of non-violent protesters.
Isn't that so sad? I think
domestically really within the United States. To be honest with you, I find it offensive.
Yeah, that's another.
I find it offensive. I find it offensive as a target, but I also find it offensive just as a member of the public, because they get on TV, these intelligence agencies, and they say Al-Qaeda, 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 and then they use these resources that they're basically stolen from the public purse to target, well, like single, as I say, so often, solo mum from the suburbs. Like, do seriously think that the public would be on side with counterterrorism resources being used against people like me? There's absolutely no friggin' way. For all of their 9/11, Al-Qaeda, axis of evil, blah, 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 to go from that, which they use to like pass the terrorism laws and access the terrorism funding and establish organizations like the NCTC, to then targeting people like me in New Zealand in the suburbs, is friggin' despicable and disgusting, and in my opinion has absolutely no basis whatsoever, and with horrific consequences. The idea that systems that are established to target Al-Qaeda, an extremist armed group which bombs people and kills people and destabilizes countries, for that level of resource and training and staff to be used against, white chick from the suburbs, what the fuck are these people thinking? to
Well,
use
yeah. Well, it doesn't have to be.
military grade systems against civilians.
Well, even if you were from the suburbs, it would be equally disgusting. But I think that it's really interesting too, and we know that, I mean, the Consortium News publishes articles all the time about the fact that we've basically been documented funding ISIS and similar groups. We basically fought, we trained the founding groups that later turned into Al Qaeda. So yeah, it's a really horrific reality for sure.
Okay. Just go through the rest of the document. Oops. There we go. Former NSA representative to TTIC, such and such is the SID account manager for this new customer. Although not a CIA organization, NCTC falls within NCR CIA Francine Forney's portfolio. Among the growing NSA contingent at the NCTC is former CT product line chief Bill Gages, who heads the NCTC Analysis and Production Department, and current NSA liaison officer someone. I think this is the customer relationship of the NSA customer relationship officer. So they've lumped it in under CIA, even though it's not a CIA organization. So the same person, presumably that means the same person who's responsible for NSA reporting to CIA is responsible for NSA reporting to NCTC. That's my read of that.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So I'm definitely going to make a note of this document. So I think the fact that NCTC were definitely an NSA customer is significant.
How is chat holding up?
Okay, I think that's about all I can do today because I'm really losing my voice now.
Yeah, not a problem. You've done a heroic amount of work for as sick as I know that you are. So,
guys, do you have any questions for us? Now would be a great time to ask. Hey, Blake. Blake, long time no see. I've missed you. My desktop icons are pretty hilarious. Have you seen, I don't know how much of it you saw. It's pretty classic. It's an old habit from New Zealand, actually. I'll just show you guys what Blake is talking about. Yep, this is my desktop. Here we go. Are you proud?
very.
Just making things easy for the NSA. People watching this playback would be like, what is she laughing her head off at? And like, I'm laughing my head off at all the people in chat who are like, oh Jesus, haha, oh my God, wow, laughing my ass off. I cannot unsee that now, says Jenny. Don't show Kurt Eichenwald that screenshot. Funny. Cacti Juice says it's a nightmare. To be honest with you, I know where every single file is and what all of them are. What do they say? Order and chaos. I'm a digital pack rat. Blake, I'm shitting you. I don't know where. My God, there's probably like 4,000 files on that desktop. Seriously. No, Cockatoo, my mind is even dirtier than my desktop. At least where certain people are concerned. Okay, I'm gonna start blushing in a minute. I think it's time to wrap the stream.
Awesome. Well, I will look forward to seeing you all again on whenever we come together next for Decipher You. Maybe Friday, maybe whenever, but it's been great. Glad I was able to say. Glad I didn't actually have a giant blood nose during the stream because that would have been really unfortunate. And
yeah, I'm really glad. And thank you for like coming anyway and soldiering it out with me. I really appreciate it, Elizabeth.
No, we were both like, it's funny. We're just both like, just physically like falling apart. And we're just like, we'll just do Decipher You anyway, whatever. Just make it happen. So it's all good. No, I think I'm definitely in less of a bad physical way than Suzie is right now. It just would have been kind of visually awful if my nose had started up again. So thank you all for your with me.
I just want to say to you guys, like, I am impoverished and starving again, as usual. So, and I always forget to ask for donations. So I'm going to make the point, like, at the end of every stream. If you want to make my day, you can, I'm going to sneeze before I can even say it. You can go to suzie3d.com and chuck me, like, some donation would be freaking amazing. Thank you so much in advance. Okay, I'm going to go and take some cough meds and do something about my sinuses now. Thank you guys so much. I'm not sure that we'll be here on Friday, but we'll be here every other day that we can. So thank you a lot. Thanks for being here. Thanks for putting up with my scratchy voice and Elizabeth being off camera tonight. And thank you for loving me, even though my desktop is a friggin' nightmare.
Ah, you're awesome. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
No, you guys. Thank you all for being here. It means a lot. I'm really glad that we did this. Okay, bye-bye.